Hey there, welcome back to NASCAR Race Hub. Time now for the Pulse. That's when we say hello to all of you out there listening on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. And we welcome our friend Dave Moody to the show. Joey Logano is going to join me in answering the questions. Actually, I'm going to ask the questions. You guys are going to answer them. So first up, Dave and Joey. We know it's an off week, but we've had a lot to talk about, especially the last 24 hours when we released the top 50 drivers from Race Hub. Let's start with the big one. Dale Earnhardt was number 5 on the list. To say it's ruffled feathers would be an understatement. What did you think about that, Dave?
Well, I understand how it can happen because we get in a position sometimes where we're comparing people with complete careers to people with partial careers. I would not have put Earnhardt that low. I could not have, in any good conscience, put him any lower than 3rd, but I understand that other people's opinions are different.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, I think championships outweigh everything. And I think when you think of the top 3, what I think they should be is the guys that have the most championships. 7 championships for Richard, Dale, and Jimmy. That should be the top 3. You choose the order. I think that's, in my opinion, that's the way it should be. But I also think when I think of Jimmy Johnson, he's done it in the modern day, and he won 5 in a row. I think that's something that stands out to me. To win that many championships in a row in today's era is something that's incredible. But you also think about the king, right? Richard Petty, he's won 200 races. Even though that was a while ago and he ran a lot more races, 200 races is 200 races, and that's why he's the king.
I think one question that a lot of us debated was where Jimmy Johnson should go. Should he be number 1 or should he be number 2 on that list, or even a little further down? Dave, where would you have put him?
My personal top 3 would have been Petty, Earnhardt, and then Jimmy in that order. Understanding that as soon as next week, Jimmy can start adding more numbers to the list, and certainly an 8th championship would change all of that. But honestly, to me, not really interested in trying to compare eras that are not comparable. I could have put any of those 3 in any of the 3 spots.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, like I said, I think, it's hard for me not to say Jimmy Johnson. Like I said, he's in what he can do still, right? His career is not over. And this is a list that can change anytime, right? Like you said, it can change at any moment. I may be 50 right now, but I got a long ways to go. But I made the cut so far, so that's a step in the right directions. But I do think, obviously, I got a long ways to go to get to the top of this thing. But I do think this is something that, is very interesting. And it's fun for us to look at and something to talk about.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the most recent race winner. Clint Bowyer, possibly still celebrating that victory in Martinsville. 190 race winless streak. David, do you think this is a one-off deal, or have the floodgates just opened for this team?
No, I think anybody driving for Stewart-Haas Racing right now can win at any time. I think all 4 Stewart-Haas Racing drivers will win at some time or another this year. And I think, busting open that 190 race winless streak is going to do wonders for everybody's attitude over there. They're going to work harder. They're going to get along better. They're going to give it everything they got. Not that they weren't before, but no, I don't think this is the last peep we're going to hear out of Clint Bowyer.
Joey, you're on the track with him every weekend. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of things that comes from this. Momentum is one thing, right? You're able to gain that confidence that you can win. On the flip side, it's Martinsville. There's not another track we go to that's anything like Martinsville. So that's something that I think is very unique, right? If you won at a mile and a half, you're like, all right, cool, it's a mile and a half. We race a whole bunch of these. But it's only one track that we go back to in one of the most important races of the year during the playoffs. But it's one type of racetrack. And I think that's one thing that may concern me if I was Bowyer. But, man, you get that monkey off your shoulder and you get that win after a long winless streak. That feels really good. That confidence will carry over, I think, into the next few races for sure. And it'll be interesting to see if they continue to carry that through the rest of the season.
And we'll see this weekend. Okay, Dave Moody, it is time now for the Godfather's hit list. Cue the music, grab the vino, because I know this is your favorite part of the show. So, Dave, what is on your hit list for this weekend? What are you looking for?
Well, my 3 items for today. Number 1, the Tire Dragon. They're Dragon tires at Texas Motor Speedway. Eddie Gossage is getting lots of help from the Twitterverse, from drivers, from fans, from everybody, telling him where he ought to be dragging that thing. They're starting at the top, working their way down. I hope they stay out of the lower grooves so we can have 2 or 3 fairly equal grooves when it all comes down to it on Sunday. The other part of it is Kevin Harvick going back to a 1.5-mile track. Obviously, that's a kind of track that has served him very well so far this year, winning 50% of the races overall and being pretty tough to guard on those 1.5-mile tracks. And I think item number 3 is Kyle Busch. When you have an average finishing position of 2.5, it's not a question of if you're going to win, it's a question of when you're going to win, and I don't think it's going to be very long for the 18 team.
We're going to add a number 4. We'll just add Joey Logano to that list just because he's here, okay?
There we go.
Sure.
I like that.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
Thanks, Dave, so much. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.